Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Cole. It's early Monday morning, October 10th, and we're now entering week 8 of Political Science 1013 on the first 8-week schedule for the fall 2022 term. Basically, what we have left for the term, everybody, is Unit 8 on Congress this week, and then the final exam about a week from now, this coming weekend, Friday and Saturday. For a 48-hour window, you can take it anytime during that 48 hours. 52 false and multiple choice items based upon Units 7 and 8, our class notes, plus 4 things you've been asked to look at. Okay, 2 about the Supreme Court and 2 about Congress. 2 essays to look up on taking either side of the question whether the Supreme Court is facing a legitimacy crisis. And then on Congress, we have 2 pieces for you to look at profiling members of Congress. 1 member of the leadership, 1 from the Senate, 1 from the House, 1 Democrat and 1 Republican, I believe. That's Senator Schumer and Representative McCarthy. Okay, so expect 10 or 15 items on those readings and the rest to be based upon the class notes for Units 7 and 8. Okay, and then that will be this Friday and Saturday, the 14th and 15th. You can take it anytime in that 48-hour period. 45 minutes to take it once you begin. Okay, let me say this about Unit 8 on Congress, everybody. Kind of a guide to what you'll be looking at as you look at those class notes. They say the member of Congress has 2 aspects to his or her career. Inside Washington, D.C., and then in relation to the constituents back home, shall we say. So there's the career at home and the career in Washington. Okay, and we try to look at each of those 2 aspects of the member's career alternatively as we go through the class notes. First of all, looking at the member's relations with his or her constituents, and then looking at how Congress works in Washington, D.C. Now we begin by going through the senators and representatives from our region to try to come as close as we can to being sure that everybody knows who their representatives in Congress are. And it's especially important to know who your House member is. Because if you have to approach a member of Congress for assistance, more likely you'll start off with the office of your member of the House of Representatives. Okay, so it's good to know who your senators are as well, but please be sure you know who your member of the House of Representatives is. We spend quite a bit of time talking about congressional elections, everybody, because how they get elected is related to how they behave once they're in Congress in Washington, D.C., once they are elected. Okay. People generally put campaigns together on their own using professional services that are available to them from people who are known as political consultants, rather than the political party itself. You might say there's a kind of a free-for-all to see who gets to run under the label of each party in a particular district. And there may be a lively campaign for both the Democratic and the Republican nomination if the district is competitive, except, of course, so many of them are not competitive these days. Many of them have been drawn to be safe either for the Republican or the Democratic Party. Now, beyond all that, everybody, members are known to engage in what we might call self-aggrandizing behavior once they get to Washington, D.C. They want to use their position to try to enhance their chances of re-election. Okay? Not surprising that they would do that. Okay, we want to look at two ways members may try to do that: to take credit for their activities and for what they're able to do, how they're able to influence the government as a whole. And that can take the form of casework for individual constituents, and then so-called pork barrel spending to benefit their district or their state as a whole. All right, after that, everybody, we try to look at the leadership positions in Congress, such as the position of Speaker of the House, and then the majority and minority leaders that will be found in each chamber, serving the needs of the party membership in each chamber, the Republicans and the Democrats. Okay? An important part of the structure is the committee system. Okay? And the committee system roughly parallels the setup of the federal bureaucracy. Different congressional committees are given responsibility for different bureaucratic entities. For instance, agriculture committees will have the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture. Now, by the way, everybody, you should have received a message entitled Unit 8 Links. That will include links to the website of Representative Frank Lucas, who represents the Panhandle in western Oklahoma, who used to be the chair of the House Agriculture Committee, but he was term limited. So you've got a link to the House Agriculture Committee. And you can look at that committee's website. There will be a link on that website to the minority site. Okay, the site for the committee as a whole will be controlled by the Democrats at this time. That, of course, may change after the upcoming midterm elections. Okay, now, it's worth noting, when a bill goes through so-called regular order, it will proceed, by and large, through a subcommittee to the full committee in each chamber, and from there to the floor of the House and the Senate, in which case they must try to pass it in exactly the same form in both the House and the Senate so that it can go to the President for the President's signature or veto. And in some cases, a conference committee may have to be formed to reconcile differences between the House and Senate versions of a bill. It's worth noting, though, everybody, that very often these days they don't observe regular order because of the way in which both chambers of Congress are so evenly and severely divided and polarized along political party partisan lines, making it very difficult for them to come to agreement to get anything done. So important legislation like the budget very often will be agreed to among the top leadership positions in each chamber, who will agree on the language of a bill and then contrive to have that bill introduced directly on the floor of either the House or the Senate or both, so that it does not go through regular order and does not go through the committee system. Many of them on Capitol Hill wring their hands and bemoan the breakdown of regular order. But it's really down to the condition we've arrived at with our political parties in this country, making it very difficult for members of Congress to deal with each other across party lines. And we mentioned the budget process as a special instance of the legislative process. One thing about the budget process is very often they run late and are not able to pass the budget on time. That's been the case much of the 21st century. In that case, what they'll do is pass a continuing resolution to keep the government going at the same rate of spending that it was under the past budget, the previous budget, until they can agree on the passage of a new budget. And on occasion, there have been at least partial government shutdowns when they were not able to even agree on a continuing resolution. All right. Now, beyond that, everybody, we talk about the views of Edmund Burke as to whether the member of Congress or the member of any legislature ought to consider him or herself a trustee or a delegate. That is, how automatically should we expect them to vote according to what they think a majority of their constituents want? Or should they be able to use more independent judgment than that? We talk about the burden on members of Congress and their time in Washington, D.C. and their money. Okay, what a hectic sort of professional career it is on members of Congress who may find that at times they're being asked to be at two places at once, which may include getting on the hold and getting on the phone and holding out a kind of an electronic tin cup, trying to get people to contribute money to their upcoming re-election campaign, whenever that will be. Okay, remember, re-election is just around the clock, especially if you're a member of the House, and it'll always be nearby for 1/3 of the membership of the Senate. So members spend more time than we might realize every day fundraising, telephoning people and ask them to please make campaign contributions to that member's re-election campaign. Beyond that, everybody, we try to wind the course up with some remarks about the course as a whole at the end of those Unit 8 election notes. We mentioned that we're in a very fraught time right now in American politics due to largely to the events of January 6, 2021 and the aftermath of that. In future elections, will we be able to get to a point where we can agree on the outcome of the election so that everyone accepts it and the losing side agrees to come back and try harder the next time around. All right, everybody, so that will be it for our fall term. Fall term of first 8 weeks, fall term of 2022. Just a moment, everybody. All right. So the final exam is the main thing we have left. Okay. It's Friday and Saturday. Contact me if you need to make up previous exams. Okay. Grades are to be submitted by the end of the business day, Tuesday the 18th. Okay, so any late work needs to be in to me by Sunday the 16th, if at all possible. Don't let me forget to mention, I've corresponded, I believe, with a couple of students about the possibility of doing a term paper. Remember, that needs to be in time for me to look it over and put a numerical grade on it before grades are turned in at the end of the business day, Tuesday the 18th. So, the final exam will be Friday and Saturday. Grades are due by Tuesday 18th. Contact me about any late work or any other problems, issues, or questions through the course website or at david.cole@opsu.edu. And I hope the term has been a beneficial one, an eye-opening one for you that has opened your eyes to things going on in our political system of which you might not have been aware. So they hard, take it easy, and contact me if I can be of any kind of assistance to you at all. Thank you so much.